process is quite simple. It's just going to be 3 minutes of speeches from everyone. I'll give them a tap, 30 seconds to go. We'll go through alphabetical order by surname, and then when everyone's finished their speeches, open it up to questions and answers. Questions have to be open to everyone, so you can't ask a specific person a question. Any questions before that? Good. Right.
Okay, so hi, I'm Nicky. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a third year Bionetsky. Sort of my claim to fame in a way is that I'm 25th best tiddlywinks player in the world. That's the about me section out of the way. So yeah, I mean, I didn't want to come here and just tell you about all my manifesto points and just leave it at that. We're going to get onto those in a second, but I wanted to just say that this process, I feel, is a bit more than just about manifesto points. It's about you electing someone who you think can actually drive the JCR forward, drive the JCR to be productive, and drive the JCR to actually make a difference for what you care about, which is the facilities and running of college. So, in that vein, you should be picking someone, in my opinion, who shows a range of skills. I'm hopefully going to demonstrate that I've had experience doing these beforehand. So, first of all, is leadership. So, president is in charge of a committee, and I think probably my most obvious experience in that was at the Snowball Committee, which I hope everyone came to and thought was good. If not, don't tell me because that will upset me. Then a good JCR president also needs to be a good organisation. Another role I have in Cambridge at the moment is head of press at the Cambridge Union Society. So this involves kind of liaising with national and international press as well as local student media. Quite a big organisational role and one that's quite important. Another thing is being proactive. Like, it's quite easy to take on a role and cruise along and do an okay job. But I'd like to think that I'm someone who's quite proactive and will actually get jobs done off my own back. So the example of that I'm giving you is, I don't know if you've heard of Agora, but Agora is a student events website in Cambridge. It's got over 10,000 members, and I've recently been brought onto the team to develop that and to expand it to Oxford, as well as other strategic development. So then, good links with college, efficient and logistics are all other things that I've demonstrated in the past. I'm also close friends with Dr. Stuart Sage. You might know about that, but he's 24th best at tiddlywinks in the world, so it's a bit of a sore spot. But anyway, I also do RAG and I chair the Naval President's Committee. In terms of my manifesto, obviously the key points that I think are of major interest are longer formal halls. That's the thing that's annoyed me for the last 3 years, and I've actually spoken to a few members of college about kind of logistics of that, and something which I certainly feel is possible. Obviously, BOPs and social events, improving the JCR website a little bit. I know it's been great to have a new website, it looks fantastic, but let's make maximum use of it. I'm sure, like the others will talk a lot about the kind of general manifesto points. I also kind of, as you've seen from reading my manifesto, feel saying lots of those. Final very quick thing to say is, I don't know what's happening next year. The chances are I won't be here, but I would like to propose a slight amendment to the Constitution in that respect, which I'm sure I'll get questioned off when I get to debate. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, I'm done.
Jonny, got 3 minutes, starting now.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jonny. I'm a second year HSBS student. That's, you let me done. I'm not running for president because I want to fundamentally change the way that the committee works. I think that last year's committee did a top job and I was very impressed by it, and I think it's something that I would like to get involved with myself. I'm running for president because I think I would be good at it. I want to work with the committee to make sure that we deliver on promises, to make sure that everyone has the most fulfilling experience that they possibly can, and above all, to make the most positive contributions to the college that I possibly can. Now, I'm not going to run for president as someone who says they're going to single-handedly revolutionise the way that the committee works, or individually drive through a bunch of ideas that I've conceived myself, because that's not the way I think it's supposed to work. I think as president, my job should be to work closely and productively with the committee, and to offer help and support wherever it's possible. And also to make life here as enjoyable for everyone as it has been for me. The JCR committee should represent the views and opinions of the undergraduate body, and that's something I feel really passionate about improving further. I want to use a number of platforms to make the JCR as open and accessible as it can possibly be, and to make sure that everyone knows that there is help there when they need it. I love being at Selwyn, and I think it's got a fantastic atmosphere. I know that the JCR also plays a big part in sustaining that. It's something I would like to actively encourage by working with a number of actors throughout college, be it sports teams, catering staff, the chaplain, to make sure that the JCR serves its purpose and the committee is fit for function. With so many clubs and societies, we really are spoiled for choice, and as president, I think my role should be to support that, sustain it, and to cultivate an atmosphere around Selwyn that is integrative and conducive to success for everyone. I came to Selwyn and I applied to Selwyn because of an access scheme, and it's the types of initiatives that are run by committee members that made me want to come to Cambridge in the first place. I feel very strongly through personal experience that the JCR is an essential part of college life, and I feel that it's one that I can contribute to effectively and fully. I promise that as president I will devote my time to helping improve the college however I can. I'd love to hear any questions or concerns that any of you might have, because that's the way I think that the president should work. It should be about representing the views that you have and getting the things done that the students need. It shouldn't be about promising things that I've come up with myself, because I want to reflect what the students want and what the other committee members have run for. I think that the ideas that the committee members will be elected on in the subsequent elections will be the ideas that I'll support, because I see my role as supportive for everyone, not just myself. So, I guess to conclude, I wouldn't be running for this if I didn't think I was the best person for the job, and if I weren't willing to give it 100% of my time and my commitment. I saw an article from the tab this morning that was shared on Facebook about how student politics is a waste of time in Cambridge, and about how it's useless and it doesn't really achieve anything. But I think here with the JCR we have an example of just how effective student-run initiatives can be in supporting people and serving a really important role in college life. And it's something that I would be privileged to commit my time to. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, I'm Becca and I'm a second year historian, for those of you that don't know me. The main reason that I'm running for JCR, much like everyone else's son I guess, JCR president, is at its most basic, I genuinely feel that I could do the best job. So although it's vital that the JCR committee put forward policies and follow them through, the role of the president itself is more about the foundational things. So it's running the committee well, bringing out the best in its committee members, being assertive when needed, providing leadership, that kind of thing. And I think I have three main qualities which mean that make me the best candidate for president. Firstly, I'm committed, secondly, I'm organised, and thirdly, and maybe most importantly, I'm approachable. Or I'd like to think I'm approachable. I've demonstrated this in many commitments to college life. College is at the centre of my university experience. I've been mixed netball captain, I'm involved in other sports, I've been a member of the Selwyn Choir all last year, I'm on the Snowball committee, I'm on the Freshers committee, and I'd like to think I'm an active part of all of this. And I'm confident that I could deliver the same if I was JCR president. That said, the committee does need some policies and does need some kind of direction to go in, and there are three main policies that I would like to chase if I was president. Firstly would be communications and awareness. So I'd like to see the JCR become more of an umbrella body for everything that's going on in college and kind of rationalise and centralise it so that people really know what's going on. This would be not just JCR events, but sporting events, choir events, societies like gender and feminism, and maybe even individual achievements if people have got things that they're particularly proud of. I'd use the website and Facebook as a platform for this. I'd also want to introduce termly reports on what the JCR committee has actually been doing, and link this to the Kiwi, if possible. My second policy would be ENTS. So I want more college events, 2 box time if possible, themes, because I love themes, Selwyn sessions, build on welfare nights, themed forms like the afternoon spy we had last year, which was really great, and I'd also want to look to other colleges for more ideas and expand our repertoire. And the main policy maybe that I'm most passionate about would be green. I really think that we could improve that area here. So campaign for recycling boxes in rooms, update signs and let people know what our policy is in recycling. Switch off light signs in college, look at censored lights, lights off formal, maybe other awareness events like that, and again look further afield. So in sum, my three main policies would be communications, awareness events, secondly events, and thirdly green. But beyond that, I really do think that the more important role of JCR president is about kind of foundational structure that it has. And I want you to vote for me because I think I really do have the attributes needed to be president. Firstly, I do understand the difficulties and the limitations of the role. I'm not going to go into it and say I have these grand policies because I know it's hard and I know that the day-to-day management of the committee is difficult. And I would be first fully committed to getting this done and kind of fulfilling the role. Secondly, I am organised to get things done, and I'm organised and I'm not afraid to make other committee members get what they need to do done. And thirdly and lastly, maybe most importantly, I'd hope that I was approachable enough and a well-known face around college enough to be the face of the JCR and to get people more involved and be more enthused. That's it.
Right, that's the point. Can I open it up to questions? So just raise a hand and I'll point and you can ask. Yeah.
So obviously exam term is one of the most stressful parts of the year for all of us. How do you guys individually think that you would cope with juggling the responsibility of JCR President with your exams, obviously finals, part 1 for history and HSPS? How do you think that would go?
Nicky.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Okay, so from my perspective at least, I've had experience dealing with big commitments during busy times before. The snowball being right when my first mocks were college, and that was all quite a stressful time. But in terms of this year, my course is structured such that I'll have already done 1/3 of my academic commitments before I actually enter exam term. So from that perspective, I feel like it's a little bit easier to balance than maybe what you'd normally expect from a finals exam season.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. But I do think that one of my strongest attributes is my ability to balance my time pretty well. Exams on last year was stressful, but if I do say so myself, I don't think I did too bad a job of sort of staying relatively sane and coming out of it unscathed. And I know everyone does get very stressed, and it's a very, very scary time. But I like to think I've got a supportive role during exam term, and that's something I'd like to carry through as JCR President to help out and make sure that people are as relaxed as possible. We can do everything we can to make sure their exams go well, but the people do know that your exams aren't the be-all and end-all of your time here. Yes, they're important, but there's so much more to a person than their exam results and sitting their exams, and I think that's something I'd really like to sustain as JCR President.
So I completely take your point. I think that exam time is a difficult time for everyone. College in itself shuts down a lot in college time. In exam time, not much is really going on. I think that it isn't really fair to say that in exam term you're going to prioritise other things. Your exams are going to be the forefront of what's on your mind, and part 1 history is difficult. But I've had, like Nicky, I've had sustained commitments that I've had to do through exam time last year. So all through last year I had to do choir. I did the Sirens Vote Out free choice, and I kept those things up, even though I wasn't doing prelims. I had that over when I was doing prelims, but I had that over when it was getting more pressure than Easter to come for me. And if I were to get president, like I said, I really would be committed to the role. I'd be willing to make sacrifices. In my other roles, okay, I'm not being president of the Snowball Committee, but say with sponsorship, I'm willing to sacrifice a week of work to do the programme and get it done in a week to a deadline. So last week I ended up doing 2 days of work, and I do sacrifice other things, and I do get up and get on with things. So yes, revision would have to be a priority, and I think that that's fair to say, but at the same time I do juggle my time. I would be fully committed to getting things done, and I think I've proven that I can still get things done and multitask if that's going to be key much.
Yep, next question. Go on, guys.
How indicative do you think your election campaign to date is of what your presidency will be, or the style of presidency?
Meetings will be conducted in song. No, I think the campaigns that we do beforehand are somewhat irrelevant to kind of what you should be basing, what I think you should be basing your voting on. They're kind of there to kind of just remind everyone what's going on and get crowds like this to hustings, which is great because it means that everyone can hear exactly what the candidates all think. I don't really think they're a reflection of kind of what you'd actually do as in the job. I mean, the job's very different to running a kind of advertising campaign for yourself. But I think, they're just there as a bit of fun, a little bit of a way to kind of galvanise interest more than anything.
Becca.
I disagree.
Okay.
I think that the campaign should be a clear example of how you would operate as JCR president. I wouldn't spam everyone quite as much as I have done in the last 24 hours. But I think, so with my campaign, I've talked to people and engaged with people that I know already, and I'll be doing the same as JCR president. I haven't gone and tried to kind of commandeer people I don't know or put on any false act. I have tried to put in a lot of effort because that is what I would do as a JCR president. I've tried to make what I've done public, what my policies would be public and let you know about that. And I've tried to take initiative as well. And I'd hope, as well as in all your Facebook and in all your kind of notification status for the last 24 hours, that that comes across. And it shows that I really would be committed, passionate, organised, and kind of approachable and friendly in the same kind of way. I haven't taken it too seriously.
Go on, mate.
Yeah, so I think I would take Nicky's point. They're two very different things, organising community and trying to sell yourself to 300 odd people. But I think the way I'd like my presidency to go, I'd like to be as approachable as possible. For me, it doesn't matter whether I know people or whether I don't. I'd like to think that they could come to me with a problem, or they could come to me with an issue, or they could, even better, they could come to me with an idea, and they could say, this is something I think we should improve in college, and I will do everything I can to set about doing that. Because that's the way I want to be president. I want to be an approachable president who is there for everyone. I don't just want to be there for particular causes. I want to fight the corner where it needs to be fought. And I want to do everything necessary to make sure that everyone does enjoy their time here as much as they possibly can. Also, although I think I've got to be honest, if I were president, I'd give things a bit more thought. Until this week, I'd sort of been umming and ahhing about whether to actually run. And so it was only a couple of days ago that I firmly made the decision to do so, and I'm very glad that I did, because I think I would have regretted it immensely if I hadn't. Because I think that this is the best way that I can contribute to college, and I do feel that I can do a very good job of it. So that's how I
And get shit done.
Yeah. God does get shit done.
Will first.
Will on.
So the JCR is sort of like 15, 20 very difficult people. Have you been able to demonstrate your ability to manage that sort of number of people, and also to ensure that they are accountable?
Jonny first.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, is that the committee is a broad array of people, but equally, bear in mind, those 15, 20 difficult people have been elected for a reason. They've been elected because they ran on a platform that people supported, and because they were saying things that people wanted to get done. So I think, in some ways, I quite like that, because I would like to work with each one of those 15 to 20 people to make sure that they can do everything that they can possibly do to fulfil their manifesto promises, and to make sure that each individual section, whether it's welfare, whether it's green, whatever, gets done stuff that needs to be done to have the most effective influence on college. And yet it can be difficult to organise that many people, but I like to think that through sort of collaboration and through an affable approach to things, I'd be able to make a very good stab at it.
Thank you.
I think it's a really good point, and I think it's one of the things I've learned most about myself since I've started at uni. When I started on snowboard, I think I was a bit of an arse. I think thank you. I think there's a bit of a line between, kind of pushing people to do their jobs and encouraging them to do their jobs, and taking over the role and not paying enough attention to the role. There's lines between all of those, and it's taken me a while to work that out. But I've been on a lot of committees now. I've seen a lot of people run committees in different ways, and I've had the experience of running them in different ways. And it is an important thing, but it's also important to remember that everyone is doing it on a voluntary basis, and so it's not like a job where your boss can say, well, go and find yourself another job. It's something that requires encouragement. It requires people to believe in what you're doing, believe in the person that's asking them to do the jobs, and believe in themselves actually contributing to college. So yeah, all I can say to that is I understand, because I've realised I made that mistake in the past, and I hope that I've improved since then, especially with all the experience in different places where I've had to deal with a lot of different types of people, most notably the tap. They're annoying.
So like I said in my little speech, I do recognise that it's a difficult role and that the nature of the committee, because it is basically a diplomatic vote, it's not like an interview process. You might not necessarily get the best people and you might get weaknesses in certain roles. Who knows where that might be, hopefully not. And I think that one of my strengths would be that I was organised. I would keep tabs on what people are doing. And like I've kind of taken it into account with the idea last year. I know very much with yours and Caroline's election campaign, we were looking at accountability and maybe introducing the idea of termly reports. I think that is a good idea, so having reports on what the committee has done and sending it out to college so people know, and there's a kind of a sense of obligation by that committee member to do it because maybe they're making promises and it's obvious whether they've performed or not. But that's a kind of more negative side of it, and I would like to take the more long-term view that you've got to, because it's all based on diplomatic, but you've got to slowly improve the prestige or restore the prestige, maybe elevate it, because sometimes T-shirt turnouts, people don't come to open meetings, that kind of thing, the interest isn't that great. So if you do take this long-term approach of improving the prestige of the JCR, so that would be for me making this more umbrella body, getting it kind of involved in having its fingers in lots of different pies and lots of different areas of college life. People get to know about it, get to think about it better, and hopefully get the right people applying. People will be taking the vote more seriously. People will be coming out with stronger manifestos and be more willing to go through it and be more passionate about it.
No one else on stage has gone.
Yeah, it's not mine as well.
It's not a member of the JCR.
If you were to not win, would you run for another JCR position? Which would it be?
Becca.
So yes, I would run. I would be torn. One of my first thoughts was green. It's something that I've become more and more interested in. My second thought was also access. I've applied and I've got an interview for the ambassador role, and it's something that I am really keen to promote and promote this kind of the great work that Jonny's been talking about and outreach to other people. I like talking to people and I like selling a product, and I think that's something that I'd really enjoy. So it would be something that I'd have to consider between the two. But both areas I am really passionate about. I'd like to think that green is obvious in my ideas as president and my manifesto, and access. Okay, I don't talk too much about outreach beyond college, but outreach within in terms of the JCR to the rest of the community. I just think that it's obvious that I am interested in both these things.
Yeah, so I would run for another position. I'd already been thinking about running for access, and for the last couple of weeks that's what I was gearing up to do. But then this week I came to the decision that I feel I'd be able to do a good job at access, but equally I'd be able to do a more broadly positive job as president, so I'd be able to help out in a number of different areas. I mean, access is something I do feel very passionate about. I chose to come to Selwyn after a series of access events. I mean, I even chose to come to Cambridge because of access events. As a sixth form, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but it was through access and outreach that I really got some positive idea of that. So that is something I feel very strongly about. Outside of college, one of the things I've got involved with this year that I'm really passionate about, it's a startup thing called Team Up, where it takes students from Kent, if anyone wants to get involved, do get in touch. It's basically where students from Cambridge go to underprivileged schools in the community and down as far as London and teach in comprehensives where the students who are very bright and very able but haven't necessarily had the attention that they need to get where they could be. So you go and you teach classes of 4 or 5 people and you help out, and I feel that's the type of thing I like doing as access. It's helping to sort of encourage achievement. So yeah, so I would run for access.
Yes, I probably would run, but I will run for ENTS. I feel like my experience is all kind of in all kind of areas of Cambridge life is with events and kind of management and that kind of stuff. So obviously got the experience of Snowball and Tiddlywinks. Box with burgers. Sorry, in joke from stage. He called the Snowball a glorified bottle burger, but yeah, obviously we know it's like more. Yeah, no, I think ENTS would be a lot of fun. I think I could do a lot for that job, but yeah, I'm president as well, so you know, whatever happens.
I don't want to offend anyone, but we're abysmally run. Just I'm trying to be rude, but I went and I expected it to be a lot more. I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be a lot more organised, a lot more like forward, a lot more prepared and directed. And I just felt that wasn't there. I was just thinking like, what are your kind of ideas? Yeah, no, I took this on the feedback. No, I didn't. So yeah, I was just thinking about what your kind of ideas about that would be, because it was something that's important to people and I know I hear it. I don't think it was well organised.
Yeah, can I answer this question? Essentially, college were meant to sign up for a compulsory workshop, which didn't happen, and so we had to organise one a fairly late minute and then try and fit it into the schedule which had already been planned, which is why it was poorly publicised, and we got a very low turnout because we couldn't make it compulsory.
Yeah, that's all. I was glad that it happened. I was glad that
And then,
good, but
as for the organisation, that's just because I'm not that great at running consent workshops. And the piece of information we get is always mixed. So.
But do you guys have any ideas about how that kind of thing can happen?
Yeah, I mean, this kind of demonstrates my point. I would like a community where people can come with ideas and say what's good or not so good. And then we can work on it and we can come to a conclusion. So honestly, like, on the spot, I don't have any revolutionary ideas which are going to change that. But what I would love to do is work with you, work with people who feel similarly to you, and come to a conclusion that's going to benefit everyone, and run something better. Sorry, Charlie. Working with the people who feel they had a problem to sort of conclude it.
Okay, so I'm going to tread carefully here to prevent too much hissing from certain members of this audience, but whether we like it or not, we are affiliated with QC, and QC should be providing us more support than we get. They should be better. I know that's the opinions of a lot of people in the room, but one of the things that a JCR president should do, and because we are affiliated, is push our value for money on that. They're the central body that should be providing guidance to our teams on how to run those workshops. We're students, we're not necessarily the best people to run it, but they are a proper body that should be providing us with that support. So that's one element of it. Another element is getting external speakers in to come and help out these sorts of events, whether it's consent, whether it's stream, whatever it is. We can get people in. I have strong links with RAG, I also have links with QC through Adora. So I kind of know how those societies work. I know how inviting speakers works, and I think that's a really good way to get these a bit more maybe official and useful.
So I think part of the question is to do with QC and how we involve ourselves with the university union and such a wider environment. I wouldn't want to make any strong claims on QC before I was, essentially, if you were to elect me as president, before I was in office and knew the full extent of the facts. Like, say, everyone's going to have a first time for everything. I'm not going to make a claim that I'm an expert on the way the JCR runs. I'm not going to claim I'm an expert on QC and our relationship with it. I have a feeling it might be a two-way thing, and there might be ways we can improve on either side. But secondly, I think the question is more about organisation and the role of JCR president with this illustration here. Charlie and Nadia have been really good welfare officers, but welfare events that have been going on. I know, I genuinely think it's been good this year. Like, the welfare events are good. I've said in my manifesto, my speech, I'd love to build on welfare events, maybe even introduce some kind of welfare formal and bring it out more. And that example there is just a case of organisation. And I think you'd have to, basically you just have to elect a president that's going to jump on these issues before they become a problem. Because I know it was up in the air through summer, there was a bit of a rumour, so, yes, there's going to be these compulsory workshops, and it wasn't quite acted on. It could have been something great, and I'm sure that our welfare officers did have the ability to do it. It's just that simply it was a lack of organisation and unfortunate circumstance, so I would hope that I'd be someone that could solve those kind of areas, because the rest of the fresh sheet thought it was great. Yeah,
Right, thank you very much, guys. Voting will open online at midnight tonight. midnight on Tuesday. I'm also going to announce that nominations for the other committee positions are going to be open this evening. Richard's going to send out an email listing all the detail for that. And there'll be an open meeting again this time next week for hustings for all the other JCR positions. So